March 3rd meeting of the Dublin City Council will hereby come to order. I would invite the Deacon Carswell to provide tonight's invocation.
Let us bow our ears, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Father God, we come before you, knowing that you are God, knowing that you are bigger than anything on this earth, dear Father. Knowing, Father, that no matter how difficult our lives may be, how hopeless it might seem, but you are yet in charge. Father God, we give you thanks, we give you glory for all that you have done for us, dear Father. Father God, we ask that you strengthen us where we are weak and build us up where we are torn down, Father. That you give us what we need to journey through this life, dear Father. Father God, I ask that you will bless each and every one of the sound of my weak voice. Father God, you know their desires, you know their hurts, you know what is going on in their lives, dear Father. And Father God, if it's your merciful will, dear Father, just give them the strength, dear Father, to carry on, dear Father. Father God, bless this council, all of its members, dear Father. Bless each and every one that will stand before this council this morning, dear Father. And Father God, just give us all what we need to be who you will have us to be. All these blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that inspiring invocation tonight, Mr. Carswell, and welcome to all the members of the public who are joining us this evening for our council meeting. We'll begin with a motion.
I have a motion to add an additional item number 9, discussion and action on 2 separation agreements.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Brown. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll now move to the first agenda item, which is the approval of the February 17th, 2022 council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion? We have a motion from Councilman Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Griggs. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is item 2, approval of bills over $15,000. Mr. Powell.
Council has a copy of those bills and also a copy of all the expenditures of the city since our last meeting.
Any questions? Any questions for staff regarding the bills under $15,000? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilman Brown,
Second.
a second from Councilman Griggs. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is item number 3, approval of purchases over $15,000. Mr. Powell.
We have no purchases.
We have no purchases over $15,000, so we'll move to item number 4, presentation from Ms. Julie Drigger regarding teen court and youth council. Ms. Drigger.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
To Mayor Khan, council members, city managers, staff, and employees. Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to present information pertaining to our city youth organizations. I told City Manager Powell that I would be the only presenter tonight. However, things have changed since I made that presentation. And I have with me, oh, okay. Tiffany Stanley. I'm gonna do the presentation on teen court and she's gonna do it on the youth council. So we kind of split it up a little bit. That's so I wouldn't be the one talking all the time. Allow me to present the boards for each organization. With the teen court board members that are present, please stand. Thank you very much for your presence. With the youth council board, with the youth council board, please stand. Get up, you. Okay. I want to thank the Dublin Courier Herald for the information. Peyton Towns and Rodney Manor. If y'all haven't had a chance to see these articles, please read them, because this kind of cuts down on what I need to say tonight a little bit. So if you've already read it, it kind of makes me kind of hurry up and get all that done. But they did a good job on doing that, and I sincerely appreciate that. Teen court is real court. It's not play court. And it's for first-time misdemeanor offenders who are referred to us through the juvenile judge or through DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice. In teen court, the defendants that are referred go to court with their peers. And their peers are the attorneys, the bailiffs, the jurors. Every position that's involved with teen court is done by a youth other than the judge. The judge is the only adult that we have on the program. And our judge currently is Mrs. Cheryl Hightower. She's an attorney in the district attorney's office that acts as our judge. So this helps us quite a bit. Our youth, the defendants that come before us, we don't do what you call actual punishment, where they're out on the sidewalk picking up trash and all that kind of stuff. We try to do it more educational, whereby they learn something. They're put in training, job training, school training, counseling, whatever it is that they need so that they don't make this mistake again. We try to help them with that. And then once they've done that, they've completed teen court, they're referred back to the juvenile judge or the DJJ department, and their record is sponged. So when they fill out applications for college, jobs or whatever, and that question on there says, have you ever been convicted? They mark no, because their record has been sponged, and so they don't have a record. We had 2 youth that came through as defendants. One is now an attorney, and one that's the male who's an attorney. And we have one female that majored in criminal justice. And I'm told she's got her own teen court program started. I believe she's in West Virginia someplace. But that's a good thing, because they came through as defendants. And they were so impressed that they chose to make this a part of their career. We're gonna have our first teen court session this Saturday, March the 5th, beginning at 9 a.m. right here at City Hall. We've got volunteers that have signed up from Dublin High School, West Lawrence High School, and Trinity School. These participants are in grades 6 through 12. When we had our training service this past Saturday, we had a young man that came, I think he was in the 7th grade, and we were trying to get organized the positions that they were gonna be training in on that day. And this little 7th grader stood up and said, I want to be an attorney. I said, that's marvelous, that is marvelous, but we had to specify that you have to be in a certain grade level to be on the jurors, you have to be in a certain grade level to be an attorney, and he hadn't got to that level yet. So you'll be surprised if you come Saturday as to what decision he chose to take other than the attorney, which is a marvelous thing. We sincerely appreciate that. Because we do not presently have a youth director, we, the volunteers, will have to handle everything that the jury puts in their verdict this Saturday, because the defendant has to complete whatever the jury puts on their board for them to do. The youth director's job is not a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job because the youth are in school at that time. This job entails a lot of after hours, weekends, and travel in and out of the state. The board for teen court and for youth council would like to meet with the city manager, the mayor, and any officials to discuss the youth director's position. We got the email from the city manager, and we would like to be given an opportunity to present our concerns before a decision is made on the suggested changes, and to make sure the job description is covered completely when that person is hired. Changes for improvement is always a good thing. However, let's please keep the major purpose of each program, which is to help the youth in this city. These programs put Dublin on the map. I don't have to tell y'all that, y'all know that. These programs put Dublin on the map nationally and statewide, because I've never said this before, but the Office of Juvenile Justice in Washington, D.C. called us when we first got organized and began to operate, and had us come to one of their conventions that was held in Atlanta to do a mock trial. And if you pull up the Office of Juvenile Justice, the one in Washington, the national level, you see that there's only one teen court in Georgia. And guess where it is? Dublin. In their manual, okay? So you can pull that up. So these are things that have happened to help us. I can talk for days about teen court, but I'm gonna let Tiffany come and talk about youth council.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you about our City of Dublin Youth Council program. It's an honor because I am always talking about Dublin with my capacity with GMA, because people around the state of Georgia always want to know how they can start a youth council program in their city. And so I'm just here to encourage you, as you're making your decision how you want to move forward with our youth programs, to take into consideration, just what our youth are doing to represent Dublin. And Darius Knight, our mayor, he'll stand up. He's on National League of Cities Youth Children Committee. And so him, along with some other youth, starting on March the 12th, they will be traveling to Washington, D.C. to represent the city of Dublin at the National League of Cities Congressional Conference, City Conference. And so this will be a great opportunity for them to meet other youth councils from around the United States. Yeah. And as Ms. Drigger stated, from a teen court perspective, we actually are known internationally. We were able to attend the Global Youth Justice, and you had people come from other countries that attended that conference as well. So our youth, people, when they hear about you, or when they see the youth out actively doing things, they want to know, how can I get this program in our city? And Benny can attest to this. We try to educate them on what they need to do to ensure that their programs are sustainable, from year to year, because councils change, elected officials change, but we want programs, to remain and to grow. And so we really just want you to know, as whoever you put in that position as a youth director, for one, whenever their schedule has to reflect around the youth. We allow our youth to set the meetings. We don't set the meetings for the youth, because if we do that, then they won't to be able to participate. And so we brought this program on for them to learn about leadership roles, to learn about local government, and to be a voice for the youth in our communities. And so it's very important that the person that you put to lead them in that position, they need to be able to look up to them, respect them, And that person needs to have the time to dedicate to the youth as well. And so anytime our youth counselor shows up at an event to volunteer, that adult volunteer needs to be there with them, to make sure that everything is going great. And we have so many opportunities where we can use our youth to highlight the city of Dublin. GMA is having their small city conference at the end of April, and I'm going to invite our youth council to come that night to assist us with the program. We have the Georgia Cities United Summit in January every year. We have a youth leadership program where we have youth councils from around the state that come and represent. We even have a youth advisory roundtable where we sit down with established youth councils and they talk about the different programs, how they're designed. And one of the things I will tell you, the majority of our youth councils are city staff that are helping running this program. And so they may have some additional duty. This is an additional duty that's been added on to it. But at the end of the day, you got to think about when they're traveling from a liability standpoint. Who's supervising is you. So I could go on and on, but I just want you to know that this person, they will be attending GMA conferences to speak on behalf of Dublin Youth Council Program about how other cities can establish, the youth program, because I try to keep something on the agenda at each of our conferences to encourage that youth leadership and for other cities to establish youth councils. And so I think I've covered everything, but thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. And I just, one last comment. I just want you to know, I left Dublin, but I did not leave our youth council programs, the city of Dublin. So please feel free to reach out to me if you got any questions. I am a resource from being on the boards to GMA resource, being the youth contact for all the youth councils from around the state. So I can give you resources and guidance and stuff, anything that you may need to move these programs forward. Thank you.
I got one more thing, Ms. Mayor. When we had our training this past Saturday, we had a council member from Baxley, Georgia, that came to observe, and she wants us to come to Baxley to help them get their Team Coat Pearl started. So we're waiting on contact from them that we go to Baxley. I'd like to make a suggestion, if at all possible, that we can meet with you on Thursday, March the 10th at 4:30.
We'll take a look at that and definitely get back to you at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
And we know that we're always happy to meet with Ms. Trigger, and
Thank you. I appreciate it.
appreciate y'all coming and discussing these important programs. And I know that council has always supported the youth services, financially and with personnel, and I think we look forward to doing that again this year.
Does anyone have any questions before we take our seat? Don't ask them all one time.
They say, first meeting is March, this Saturday at 9 a.m.?
Yes, this Saturday at 9 a.m. And we start promptly at 9. We start promptly at 9.
From both of y'all point of view and opinion, do you feel like a part-time person will be able to handle either one of these positions?
I'm open-minded, Councilman Jones, at this time, until we actually get a chance to talk, to get the specifics on why that has been chosen or whatever, before I render a yea or nay.
Well, thank you very much for coming and talking, and appreciate the information.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Allen's Heating and Cooling is your licensed Amana equipment dealer. Trust Allen's Heating and Cooling to install and service your heating and cooling unit. Allen services all brands, and with the purchase of a new Amana, offers a lifetime compressor warranty. Call Sean Clark or any of his friendly staff at Allen's Heating and Cooling, your Amana dealer. Amana lasts and lasts and lasts.
I'm Heath Richter, and we just want to invite everybody to come on down to the Houston Clinic and check us out at our new facility. We've been in Dublin for a while now, obviously, but have a new office here, and we'd just like you to come down and see some of the new stuff we're offering. And if you need to get checked out, we'd be glad to do that for you. We've got able to do some ultrasound-guided injections now, and physical therapy, and just a little bit better space, so hopefully we can get you in and out of here a little bit quicker.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
We'll move to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to rezone land. I'll now turn it over to the city manager for the reading of the ordinance. This will be the second reading of the ordinance.
This is ordinance number 2206, an amendment to the official zoning map of the city of Dublin, Georgia, as previously amended for the purpose of rezoning 0.6 acres more or less of property located at 802 Brookhaven Drive, Dublin, Georgia, from R1 single-family residential zone to R2 single-family residential zone. The proposed use is for a home residence daycare. In this ordinance, council before you, section 1 has the legal description of the property involved, and section 2 has conditions that have been added. That in the first condition is that in the event the property ceases to be used as part or in part as a residential daycare facility, that the property would automatically revert to an R1 single-family residential zone. And then the second condition is that in the event the property is sold or otherwise transfers ownership, the property would automatically revert back to the R1 single-family residential zone. And for the public benefit, and R2, as it relates to this particular property, changing it from an R1 to an R2, both are single-family residential districts. And as to this property, the only additional use that could be allowed is for a daycare facility.
All right, we have now had the second reading of the ordinance. We will now close the city council meeting, open a public hearing on this ordinance, and invite anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against the ordinance to come forward. Now, under the rules, there's 10 minutes allotted to any group. So there will be a maximum and a minimum of 10 minutes allowed for the people who wish to speak in favor, and the same amount of time for those who wish to speak against. So we'll start with those who are wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. If there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance, please come forward. And just so we know, are there others who are going to want to speak in favor of this ordinance so we can make sure that everybody's going to have a lot of time? Is anybody else going to be speaking in favor of the ordinance? All right. Now, each individual person will have 5 minutes, and then we'll have 5 minutes for anybody else who wishes to speak in favor. Thank you.
Good evening. I think I spoke with most of y'all personally. I'm Tanya Leroy. I'm the owner of the daycare at this property. I run a daycare out of my home at 1601 Lee Drive for over 28 years now, and I've served many children and families, and for a smaller daycare setting for a lot of people that don't want to have a large child care setting. And when I recently moved, from 1601 Lee Drive to 802 Brookhaven, it was my mom's house. She passed away in September, left me this house. It was just a kind of upgrade for us to move. It's a little bit nicer property, big, huge backyard for the kids to, have a plane that has a shop that my husband was interested in. So we've done over $30,000 worth of renovations to the property to make it our personal home, because it was just old and outdated and needed some updating. And when I reapplied for my licensing, did right from the start, because your license doesn't transfer from one address to the other, there was I had to submit a zoning approval letter from the agency stating that there was no zoning required and that family child care is permitted in the home. Well, I didn't even realize when I moved, because 28 years ago when I started my daycare, I don't even know that there was a zoning issue at that time. I never had to provide any type of zoning thing. So whenever I moved, I had no idea until I moved and had to reapply for my license that this was even a thing. So, I can't, I applied for the rezoning, which was rejected, and so that's why I'm reaching out to all you council people to, try to help me out, because this has been my business, my livelihood for 28 years, and like I said, I've kept hundreds of children. As a matter of fact, two of the children that I keep right now, the mothers were in my daycare when they were children. And I've had lots of children who I've kept over the years, who I've had their children as well. And I just want to continue my business, out of my home. It's a small, very private, maximum of 6 children. No sign will be posted, no advertisement. I don't even Facebook or any type of social media. It's just a small in-home daycare where I just provide love and attention to these children, and and I just want to continue my business, and would like to have this property rezoned just for this purpose. understand. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for those comments. Is there anybody else who would wish to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sharon Roy. I've been a relative of Tommy Roy for over 30 years, and I'm very much aware of the business that's going on in that home, and I respect what those against this would, have a reason to bring up. I respect that, but I appreciate all the time y'all put into looking at the ordinance and find out what can be a win-win for everyone. But I know there were some comments regarding traffic, and like Tony said, 3 to 6 at the time, and they come at different times and leave at different times, and it was no different. It's no different than someone selling cookies and selling a pound cake at the time. It's not the traffic issue that I've witnessed in the 28 years she's had the business. And also, one thing that came to my mind since I've been listening to the comments regarding this situation is that if the rezoning issue was not an issue, then nobody in that area would ever have known she had a business. I don't really think that they know unless they maybe live right next door and saw a car here and there and a child get out. But other than that, people coming out of Pine Ridge and turning left to go to Walmart, right to go to CVS, they would probably never have realized for years unless they met her walking her dog and had a conversation of what you do for a living, and she brought it up. They wouldn't even realize it. But thank you for what each of you do in our community. I respect everything you do and the time you put in to help our community.
Thank you for those comments. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the ordinance? Hearing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak against the proposed ordinance? This is the last call for anyone who wishes to speak against the proposed ordinance. We will now close the public hearing, reopen the city council meeting, and turn this matter over to council for action.
Ask a question.
Yes.
The rezoning, could you tell me how many, does it specify a maximum number of children that they'll be able to have at the daycare?
No, sir.
Allowed?
Right from the start, state licensing only allows you to have 6.
And I think that's determined by the number of people you have working
Right.
with you. It's how many adults you have. Yeah.
Depending on how many adults you have supervised.
So, my understanding of the ordinance is that the ordinance allows the daycare in-home, which means it still has to be a single-family residence. And then if it's licensed by the state, if you have 1 or 2 people being there, would be 6 or 12, depending on the number of people you have working.
I think to have 12, you would probably have to have a certain amount of square footage, and you have to have so much square foot per child.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for staff regarding this matter? Now, my understanding is whenever you read the ordinance that there was a reversion. Can you explain what the reversion is?
If the property ceases to be used as a daycare facility at any point in time, it would automatically revert. So if she decided to close business down and just live there, then it would automatically revert at that point in time. And then the second is that if she sells or transfers the property and another owner takes over, it automatically reverts at that point in time as well.
My understanding also is that in-home businesses are generally allowed in the R1 district, is that correct?
Yes, the R1 allows for what you normally think of as home occupations, so an attorney's office, an accountant that does keep the books for a small business or something, somebody that sells baked goods out of their home. Those are all allowed in the R1 residential zone. The R2 zone in our ordinance, the way it's written, just specifically includes that daycares are allowed, so that's why it's necessarily precluded from the R1 zone.
And the R2 district allows some other uses, or would any of those other uses include things like planned community units and planned developments? Would any of that be possible on this property?
The R2 zone does include that, but this property does not have the minimum acreage that's required. One requires 4 acres and the other requires 20 acres, and this is plus just over half an acre.
Are there any other questions? All right, would a council member like to make a motion regarding this matter?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Jones and a second from Councilman Godfrey. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor?
Yeah.
That's right, we need to call the roll on the ordinance. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Jones,
Yes.
Councilwoman Godfrey,
Yes.
Councilwoman Colby,
Yes.
Councilman Griggs,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Mascara.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Kyle Gerard with A+ Flooring and Construction. We're standing in front of our brand new facility on 371 Georgia Highway 338. We are no longer at 1801 Rice Avenue. We have outgrown our facility there and we had to have a bigger spot to serve all our customers. We can serve all your needs, all your flooring needs, all your construction, all your remodeling needs. So come see us at 371 Georgia Highway 338 or give us a call, 478-676-2662.
The City of Dublin Natural Gas provides the most cost-efficient source of energy available today. So for your home, choose the most natural resource. Safe, clean, efficient. All new subdivisions around the Dublin area have natural gas available. Start reducing your energy bills today with Dublin City Natural Gas Department. Natural gas, the smart choice. Call 277-5048 today and let us help you start saving today.
I'm Glenn Register, and spring is here. Hometown Supply has all of your lawn and garden equipment from zero-turn mowers to string trimmers and blowers. We carry all major parts and offer service and repair, so come see us at Hometown Supply. And remember, if you can't do business at Hometown Supply, you just can't do business.
We'll now move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is the second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to rezone 3.61 acres of land at 102 Hillcrest Parkway. Mr. Powell.
This is ordinance to amend zoning map 2207, an amendment to the official zoning map of the City of Dublin, Georgia, as previously amended for the purpose of rezoning 3.61 acres more or less of property located at 102 Hillcrest Parkway, Dublin, Georgia, from B2 highway-oriented business zone to M1 warehousing and light industrial zone. The proposed use is an indoor climate-controlled mini storage facility. And this ordinance, just like the last one, section 1, has a legal description. And I believe in your materials there was a plat showing exactly where this particular parcel is located on the property. And section 2 has conditions that have been included in the ordinance at the suggestion and request of council. And those are, 1, that the property would at all times be used solely for climate-controlled self-storage with no access to the individual storage units from the exterior of the building. That in the event the property ceases to be used, as indicated in paragraph 1, or in the event the property is sold, that the property would automatically revert back to B2 highway-oriented business zone. And that before commencing operations as a climate-controlled self-storage facility, the owner would cause a planted and fenced buffer to be erected on the southern and eastern side of the property between the development and the residential homes adjacent thereto. And the fencing shall be to a height of at least 6 feet and shall not include any razor wiring. And the landscape and fence buffer shall be maintained at all times during operations of the business.
Thank you for the second reading of that item. We will now close the city council meeting, open a public hearing on this ordinance, and invite anyone who wishes to speak in favor of or against the ordinance to come forward. Is there any person who would wish to speak in favor of this ordinance? Thank you, and please state your name.
Hey, I'm Eric Scarborough. I'm the owner.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to give you all a quick rundown of what we're really going to be doing here. So this is the Bojo's building. It's 102 Hillcrest Parkway. And we're going to do a climate control storage facility. And it's going to be called Storage of Dublin. So I just want to give a little background on who I am and my experience. And I'm Eric Scarborough. I'm a third generation Dublinite, born and raised. Went to Dublin High School, graduated in 2002. I went on to Georgia College, State University in Milledgeville, and got a marketing degree. I went straight into property management, so all I've ever done is rent space. It was really easy for me to make a lateral move in storage because it's all I've ever done. So speeding up 2018, started looking for buildings in Milledgeville, Georgia. Y'all may be familiar with this building. It's the Lake Sinclair Furniture Building on 441, been there since the 70s. It's a 50,000 square foot building. I did a conversion on that building, and we were extremely successful. I filled it up in 10 months. So I started scouring Georgia looking for places to do conversions. And of course, I looked at my hometown. I called my buddy George Best, and he turned me on to the Bojo's building. It'd been on the market for 4.5 years with no success. What we want to do is come in and do the conversion. And if I could pass out some stuff to the council, I just want to pass out some handouts, some pictures, so as I talk about it, y'all be able to follow me with what it is exactly I'm talking about before y'all make those decisions.
Yeah, you can bring your materials up to Mr. Powell. He'll take a look at them and pass them out.
And that's all in order too, so as I talk, I'll just go page by page.
Hey,
I can just pass them all out if you want me.
you got it. This is one packet of everything. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so let's look at this first diagram. I actually had my steel supply guy go ahead and lay out our storage facility. So this is storage in Dublin. This is exactly what it will look like. If you look at the diagram on the right side, you'll see all the dimensions and all the different types of sizes of storage we'll have. We can accommodate small moves from our 5x10s all the way up to those 10x30s for big, extremely big moves. If you'll turn to the next page, we'll keep moving. This is actually a picture of my facility in Milledgeville. This is exactly what storage Dublin will look like. We use the same color scheme too, it's kind of fitting. The storage units are just made up of steel beams for support, and then the white sheet metal is for the paneling, and then you'll have a green garage door on the front. And then there is a security mesh on top that is exposed so the air can get in these storage units and control the humidity and the temperature. All right, so if y'all flip over to the next page. I pulled this off of Q Public. If y'all could put North Jefferson on the left side of the page, that would be the east side of the building, kind of get our bearings straight. So what we're gonna do on the outside is first we're gonna come in and clean all this trash up around the back side of the building. There's years of garbage that's been left back there. And then we're gonna acid wash this building and get the graffiti and all the paint and soot off of this building, try to bring it back to life, get it back where it needs to be. And the next thing we're gonna do is paint this entire building. And I kind of want some ideas from the council. We've got two options that we've been juggling around. I do want to hear what you have to say and maybe even take a vote at the end, and I'll just go with whatever y'all say on the color scheme. We can do two-tone gray, or we can kind of mock what I think we did a great job was the Liberty Baptist Church at the old Kroger. We can bring back that natural brick color and then make it pop like a lighter beige on the back end, and I would really like to hear what y'all have to say on that at the end. So if you take a look, that red line all the way around the back side of the building, that's the proposed fence line. I see that y'all said at least 6 feet. I was gonna say 10, but I was gonna see if we can meet in the middle, if it's cool with y'all, if we can do an 8-foot fence all the way around. And I'm okay with the landscape buffer. I was gonna add that in on the east side too. On the south side, I just wanna ask, there's already a natural landscape buffer on the south side fence line. I'm okay with bushes, but I don't know that there is a need for it because you have a 10 to 15 foot burn, which is just a big mound of dirt that's there from either the grading or it's just a natural burn, lay of land. And then over the years, obviously, you have a tree line there that you can't see through that tree line either side. And so I just don't understand if those plants are necessary, then yes, we'll do it. But if we can get away with it, they're kind of expensive, we'd like to steer away from it. And I actually have some pictures I can show you that burn at the end if y'all want to see it. We can kind of go back and forth and discuss it, come to an agreement. Now, if you look on the east and west side of that gate, you'll see this yellow line here. That's where the gates will go on both sides of the building. We're going to use a cantilever gate, which is just your sliding gate that just slides open on a track. Customers will pull up. There'll be keypads where they punch in their codes and they enter, and they'll do the same thing to exit on the other side too. And we'll have Knox boxes installed for emergency personnel vehicles to have 24/7 access. So That's all of that on the fence. And then let's talk about this porte cochere that I want to build. If you know the building currently, it has a drive-through on the northeast side, the side of the building. We're going to cut that on out and put a sliding glass door and build a porte cochere off the side of it, which is where a U-Haul can pull under or truck, and our customers can get out of the rain. And then on the back side, this used to be a grocery store. There's already a loading dock for an 18-wheeler. We're just going to throw in an awning on the loading dock so we can keep our customers' goods dry when they're loading on the big moves. So that's really the full scope of what we're going to do with the conversion. And on the rezone, you know, I met with Mr. Powell. He helped us kind of decide what we could and couldn't do. And we kind of came to this conclusion that we need to subdivide this property by 2 parcels, parcel A and parcel B. Parcel A will be up against Hillcrest Parkway. It's 2.31 acres. It will stay B2 highway oriented. And if you look back on parcel B where we're going to do the conversion, that's where we need to change over to M1. That special stipulation will be made a part of this survey that had Mr. Jones do. And it will be recorded in the deeds office to make that enforceable. And we're a long-term play too. We're planning on being here 20 or 30 years. We have no plans to sell. We've actually even discussed it. Even if somebody comes along and offers us money, we kind of want to sit on this and have some residual income. And especially being in my hometown, I do want to keep this facility. And so if you'll look back on parcel B, we had to make this little drive down to Hillcrest Parkway to give it the 50-foot required linear street frontage it needed when we subdivided it to create this parcel. So that's really it. That's the full scope of what we're trying to do. I've done my due diligence. I've got the experience. I know that Dublin is ready for a large or even larger climate control storage facility. And I'm ready to take any questions and ideas I'd love to hear too, so we can incorporate.
All right, we'll have to reserve questions for after the citizen comment period. If you don't mind just sitting right there, and as soon as we get the rest of the comments, we can see if council has any questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this matter? Anyone for or against this matter? All right. And I know that there were some issues that you requested some information from council on. One was regarding the fence, and I believe that the way the ordinance is currently written, it's a minimum 6-foot fence. So if you wanted to go 8 feet or 10 feet, that would be permitted. And as far as the buffer goes, my understanding is the way the ordinance is written, there just needs to be a landscape buffer. So if there's an existing planted landscape buffer, I think that that's sufficient.
It's not planted, it's a natural landscape buffer because you have that tree line that's there. But if we need to add a couple plants, we want to do that.
Would your fence go on the building side of the?
Since we have no other persons wishing to speak for or against, all right, now we can have questions from staff and council. Mr. Powell?
I was just gonna ask, would your fence be on your side of the tree line that's already there?
Oh, yeah. So the fence will be at the bottom of the burn where the concrete starts right there on the other side. There's a curve there, you can't even see it because all the soil's kind of washed down. We're gonna get a skid steer, clean that up. We're gonna expose that curve, and I'm gonna drop that fence just on the other side of that curve. And I actually have some pictures if you want to see it. When I say this burn is as high as that, where the word city is, you can't see past the burn into the neighbor's yards. And that's why I didn't know that y'all wanted us to do the landscape buffer on the east side. I already have that proposed because there is a neighbor, it's kind of flatter, and they got a wooden fence there, but we were just gonna put those called green giants. They got like the fat bases and they get skin hairs that go up to the top, they're cedars, and already had that already budgeted in to do on that side because of that.
Any questions from council?
I got 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for investing back in your hometown, first of all.
Yeah.
What type of fence are you putting in?
We were gonna do chain link, black powder coated metal fence just on that burn side because nobody can see it except our customers and it's blocked. But I wanna do the vertical iron rod steel where the face of the fence is, where the gate is, just to give some curb appeal.
The second question, the accessibility for like a moving truck, like an 18-wheeler. I looked at on the eastern side of your building, your egress is smaller than the ingress on the western side of the building. So if someone like a Mayflower or something like that were to come in and move someone here, would they be able to get in and get out?
I don't have those measurements, but I've got pictures that can show you the distance if you want to see it. I don't want to tell you it's a 100-foot clearance and it's not, but I can show you. And really, honestly, I think what we're going to try to do is when we're signing people up, try to make that western gate an emergency exit entrance, because I want to be neighborly to my neighbors and I have cars coming in behind their building, so we're going to really push that. But there again, there'll be Knox boxes on both, so both will open automatically in case of emergency. There'll be a get out. But I can show you these photos if it's something you want to see. Just the back side of the building. I don't know what the dimensions are on the clearance, but I mean, for I think it was a Piggly Wiggly back in the day. Was that what the grocery store was? Full max. They obviously didn't have any issues, but I did take pictures just in case the question did come up.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. You were talking about the owner with a drive-through at. Is the restaurant going away? Are they gonna still be able to use the drive-through for the restaurant or?
Unfortunately, they will have to vacate. Our business model, we just aren't set up to have the retail, and I don't think the zoning would allow retail. Because there's no mixed use. You have to have retail and in one mix.
Are they aware of that?
They are not. We obviously weren't going to tell them because we didn't even know if we were going to get past today. They'll have about 70 to 90 days to vacate once we take ownership.
Do you think the moving trucks will have any impact on the other business owners? Because there's Rose's, there's a hair supply store, there's a Chinese restaurant. Do you think that would?
I used to go to that Chinese restaurant when I was really young.
And Sears.
And I mean, that grocery store was there. Those 18-wheelers came in every day. To be honest with you, we might see 5 18-wheelers in the entire calendar year. I've only probably had 20 in 4 years at my basic storage in Louisiana. It's not. That's the beautiful thing about storage. It's quiet. People only use storage when they need it, and big moves don't really to that level don't happen that often.
I guess my only issue right now would be just finding out that you do not tell that other business they want to go out of business before you came to us. I mean, I understand you was trying to see if you're gonna get rezoned or not. Now you're affecting somebody else's livelihood in that they are running a good, successful business and they invested in the community. I actually know the young lady. I graduated with the young lady that owned that business.
Yes, sir.
And now you telling her she got to vacate and she came back to invest in her hometown. But you didn't tell them that.
Yes, sir. Should that have been something I told them or the property owner?
Well, nobody told them, but I'm quite sure they'd have known they were gonna have to vacate. They might have had opportunity to come here and express whatever they got. So, I mean, right now, we as council, I believe we're getting to understanding being fair.
Yes, sir.
And I really do. I compliment you for investing, coming back, investing in your hometown. But now you're running somebody else out that came back and did the same thing, and they don't even have an idea. We vote tonight, and they find out tomorrow. They got to find out tomorrow when the paper come out, and we actually council for kicking them out.
Well, I promise you there was no hidden agenda. Well, I never lied. I'm not a liar, so I promise you. There was no hidden agenda. I just felt like if I told somebody, hey, that they were going to get kicked out without even knowing that we were going to be able to do the business, that was kind of unorthodox in itself.
But they would have an idea. Yeah, they would have an idea.
I fully understand. I'm not arguing. I fully understand what you're saying. If I could go back and do it again, I would do it different now that you said this. But I promise you, there's no hidden agenda in this proposal.
All right, are there any other questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Can I say this? I feel bad. Do you have any ideas? I mean, could I reach out to them and help them maybe move, or I don't understand like that. I'm actually a really good person.
I would like for council, if we could, delay this vote till we talk with those owners and we come back, because I think that will only be right. If they know now, because we did have a discussion, and we actually mentioned about their restaurant being there, and we was thinking it was going to be there still.
Well, unfortunately, I've done 2 extensions on this project. I went under contract in August, and John's already told us he's not going to give us any more than the 60 days that I will need to financially close this. And I'm really invested in this, and I've got a lot of time too. And I hate that they have to vacate, but it just doesn't fit into our business model.
I want to interrupt. You said that the property's been on the market for 4 years.
4.5 years, yes, sir.
And the owner of the property as it is now has a renter, and you're under contract.
Yes, sir.
Correct? First, I don't think that's our purview to tell him how to, that's not the council's.
And I also have an estoppel certificate to show that they don't have a long-term lease. They're on lease-to-lease, month-to-month lease terms. And I got that notarized by John, and John has no desire to keep that fitness gym that he owns in there, and so he's not paying rent to himself. So from a business standpoint, I just can't commit to leaving that business in there, because building storage out in that space is gonna be way more lucrative than whatever their rent could possibly be.
Mr. Scarborough, can you
Wait a second. If the audience, we appreciate all the public being here, but the public does need to keep silence during this hearing. You will have an opportunity to speak against this or for this. We still have an open mic, but while you are in the audience, please remain silent. We have another question from council.
I have a question, Mr. Scarborough.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you explain to us the difference between a month-to-month lease and a long-term lease? Isn't it true that if the person had a long-term lease, the purchaser would have to legally accept the lease as part of the purchase?
I'm not a broker or a realtor. George, you wanna come up?
That's correct, what she said. A month-to-month lease is, you have to give 60 days notice for them to vacate the property, but a long-term lease stays with the property and would stay with the sale.
So, for example, if the business owner had a long-term lease on this property, it would follow with the new owner?
That's right.
Okay, so because they have a month-to-month lease, the owner does not have to give them more than the 60 days notice?
That's correct.
I don't think it's a matter of right or wrong.
Well, wait, is this a question? Because after we finish this, then we can have comments among council.
No problem.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? All right.
I do.
Okay.
And are you absolutely sure that the current renter doesn't know? Do you think that the seller has informed them that this is happening?
I never have had a conversation with John, so I can't speak on that, and I haven't spoken to the tenants. Like I said, I truthfully thought this was unorthodox to go speak to any tenant of a building that I don't own and discuss their future, so. I see what you're saying, and if I could do it over again, I would honestly, truthfully do it different.
Have you researched any other, possibilities to incorporate them in it?
Like I said, it just doesn't fit with what we're trying to do, unfortunately. They would have to vacate. I don't want to go any deeper than that, just because it just is what, unfortunately, it is.
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right, thank you for your presentation. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to make a comment? All right, hearing.
If I recently from the zoning board.
Yes.
Just for clarification, Alan Scarf from the zoning board. The permitted usage in M1 warehousing, according to what it is K. It does permit restaurants, cafes, grills, drive-thrus, and restaurants. Just for clarification.
All right, thank you for that information. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? All right, at this time, the public hearing will now be closed, and we'll reopen the city council meeting and turn it over to council for action. And again, we'll have if there is a motion and a second, we will have a discussion period, and then we'll have a call for a vote at the end of the discussion. Do we have a motion regarding this matter?
Move for approval of the rezoning.
We have a motion from Mr. Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Griggs. Discussion on the motion.
I may have misspoke, and I want to clarify what I said. Our job is to decide whether it gets rezoned or not. Our job as council is not to decide how he and the seller choose to run their business. And that, I want to clarify that. And that, what I said, it wasn't our purview. Our purview is to whether or not we're going to rezone for you. And I just wanted to make sure that the public and everybody in here knows that I would hate for someone to be moved out, but, you know, the property was rented while it was for sale, and the owner that currently owns it has a duty to tell his tenant. And that's kind of where I just wanted to make sure I clarified that.
Well, and even with that, I believe that the point that Mr. Scarborough was making is that the rezoning itself doesn't close down the restaurant.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
So it's not the rezoning that would close down the restaurant. So, okay.
Yeah, the other Mr. Scarborough.
Yes, that Mr. Scarborough.
Alan Scarborough.
I was incorrect on that.
Yeah. I mean, that was the point of clarification.
Yes, and we clarified that, I mean, I understand we don't have a right, but we always talking about investing in our community. And people coming back investing, and you have somebody, and I understand, and I trust me. Let's not play on each other's intelligence. I understand a month-to-month lease, and I understand a long-term lease. I understand all of that. I'm intelligent enough to understand all of this. But at the end of the day, you're closing down, and I must say, I ain't want to bring this in, a black-owned business. That's very successful. They've been there for a few years. They've sat there and weathered COVID as a restaurant. When other people was closing down, they've sat there and they've weathered that. And we're telling them they probably have no, and I understand what you're saying, Mr. I really do. That wasn't your job. But I just want to know, do they have an idea that when we make this decision tonight, we sit there and talk about that ain't our job, not it, but a business owner, if that was you, you would want to know.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
So, I'm just saying, so, and us now getting knowledge, if I was sitting with all that getting, get understanding. We just got an understanding that rezoning will not close the restaurant. It's gonna be, the new owner is gonna close that restaurant. Not the zoning. So I don't have a problem with rezoning. I have a problem with closing a business.
Any other comments? Any other comments? All right, having no other comments from council, will Madam Clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Jones,
No.
Councilwoman Godfrey,
No.
Councilwoman Colby,
No.
Councilman Griggs,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
No.
Councilman Mascara,
No.
ordinance fails.
Thank you.
It's nothing personal. It's just business.
Hello?
That's how some people do things.
Right away.
To us, everything we do is personal. Because anyone can answer the call. It's who shows up that matters most. That's the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them.
Ask Curry Maffett Insurance in Dublin if auto owners make sense for you.
The kind of hot topics are things called patient-specific implants and instruments, which is where we use imaging like CT scans and MRIs to measure people's bone and look at the shapes of their bones, and then make implants and devices we use to implant the knee or hip replacement based on that particular person. And just about every company has that available, and people use it to varying degrees just based on, again, the patient's anatomy and whether there's some reason that you really need that extra assistance. There's also robotics that is starting to come out into the orthopedic world that's been in the general surgery world for a while now. We're starting to use robotic arms to do things like to help us make the cuts and shape the bone so the implants fit well.
We'll now move on to item number 7, discussion and action on the supplemental agreement for the Georgia Department of Transportation CAP grant. Mr. Powell.
This is a contract with the Georgia Department of Transportation. If you were at the last council meeting or were able to watch it, you saw that the council approved an agreement with Thompson Hutton for the spending of these additional funds. But this agreement with the Department of Transportation officially accepts and puts into our agreement with them, amends the agreement to include the additional funding that we've received for that project. This was $120,000 in grant funds. and the matching funds from the city will be $30,000. So the total project funding would be $460,000 in federal grant funds and $115,000 in match for a total for the entire project of $575,000. And just as a reminder, the TAP grant is the beautification of East Jackson Street from the federal courthouse to the Oconee River Bridge.
All right. Thank you for your explanation of this item on our agenda. Do we have any questions of staff regarding this TAP grant? If we have no questions, do we have a motion? Do we have a motion regarding the TAP grant?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Brown and a second from Councilman Griggs. All those in favor of approving the TAP grant supplemental agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Moving to item number 8 on the agenda, discussion and action on a resolution to approve the sale or transfer of surplus equipment. Mr. Powell.
The police department has some equipment that you have listed in your backup materials, and they are handheld ticket writing devices that were used with and it's also the printers that go along with those. But they were used with the system that the police department used to use under the Tyler software. We switched a while back to the Allen system that has proven to be better for them and their purposes. And the sheriff's office has recently done some upgrades to their system and has potential use for this equipment. And since the city cannot use it, we'd ask that the council approve this resolution, which will declare the item surplus and authorize us to transfer them to the sheriff's department, Lawrence County. And if it turns out that the county decides before we officially do that they don't want them, then we'll just the resolution declare them surplus and we'll sell them.
All right, thank you for your explanation of item number 8. Do we have any questions of staff regarding the surplus? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
So we have a motion from Councilman Griggs and a second from Councilman Jones. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have a new item number 9, separation agreements, which was added to the agenda by motion at the beginning of the meeting. Mr. Powell.
You have in your materials 2 separation agreements. One is with Richard Brantley and the other is with Ronnie Holmes, both police department employees.
Does this require action by voice vote?
Yes,
No roll call vote?
No roll call vote. It's approving a contract. There's 2 contracts.
All right, do we have any questions of staff regarding these separation agreements? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion from Councilman Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilman Griggs. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We're now at citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight? Mr. Gerard.
I want to thank the city for everything that you've done for Across the Creek Cemetery. I don't know if you're aware, but Across the Creek was on Channel 13 News back in February for Black History Month. And they had a picture, but they were there and they took quite a few pictures on that day of Across the Creek. And I want to thank you for putting up the new flag because the old flag was torn down and we didn't want the TV-35 to come and see that right flag there. You know, so we definitely had to put up the new flag and we sincerely appreciate that. Now, I did not find out until that day that Guy Cochran had put the new shrubbery trees there, and we want to thank him for doing that. But thank you for keeping that up, because it is on the historic register, and we can't afford to have folk come to town, isn't that right? And see it, and it doesn't look presentable. So we thank you so very much for that. and I look forward to hearing from you ASAP.
I checked, I'm available, I'm got you on my calendar.
ASAP, before any decisions are made, and so my board can come at the same time and discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Truder. Do we have any other citizens' comments?
Yes, good evening. I'm Kenny Walters, and I'm here to talk about, to discuss, request a meeting with the mayor and council. As I stand here, I'm really proud of our council. This is a diverse council. This is about as diverse as you can get, this council. I'm proud to say that. As you know, I sent each and every one of you a letter concerning a request that the NAACP made last year. Now I know it was some of you that was not on council at the time, but some of you were. And it's, like I said, it happened over a year ago. The reason for the request was that we had numerous complaints from employees of the city of Dublin. And a lot of those employees who had some legitimate complaints, but they didn't want to file a legal or legitimate complaints with the NAACP. They just wanted us to talk about it. So we made a request for some information. On top of our request last year, the city did a survey of employees. And they did like a study. They got they got a private consultant agent to come in and question all the employees about their concerns, about the issue, how they felt about the city. It lingered on, and they didn't come back with us with any formal requests or answers to our requests. During that time, we found out that the company had some focus group meetings pertaining to the survey. We had to ask them again to give us the data on the focus group meetings. They did eventually send us the data from the focus group meeting. They went and talked to employees about their jobs, promotion, the morale, safety, everything. But they still hadn't met with us. We did meet with the city manager and the HR guy once. With my executive committee, we met, we talked about it, and they told us that they were going to come back with us. But during that time, I knew there was a lot of transition. We had the mayor resign, and it was the election coming up. But I think now it's time, and I sent y'all the letters to say that we would like to meet again with whoever the council determined that we can meet with to talk about those focus group meetings, talk about the results of those meetings and what action plans or what progress has the city made as it pertains to people being hired, people being promoted, and people being put in positions of making a decision. As you may know or may not, here's Dublin, Georgia, almost 70% minority. We don't have anybody in a decision-making position that can talk about hiring, firing, or promoting. Talk to some of the council members, and they say, well, you know, that's up to the city manager, city attorney, HR guy. Well, we look at the people who we elect to make these decisions. If we have some problems with our citizens, we look for our elected officials to speak up and deal with those issues. So I'm just making a formal request publicly that we would like the mayor and council to meet with the executive board and tell us some ideas of what y'all plan on doing about some of these issues. Now, I guess y'all ask me, so why the people don't step up? They step up in fear of retaliation. Y'all say retaliation. We have had some employees who had filed complaints and got fired. We've had an employee here for the city of Dublin who has filed an EEOC complaint, went all the way up to Atlanta, came back, and it was not successful. So there has been some retaliation, in our opinion. I don't know if it's true or not, I'm just telling you. They told us I filed a complaint, next thing I know I was terminated. We don't want that to happen. I've read y'all charter, I've read y'all rules. They said there'll be no retaliation, there'll be nothing in y'all policy and procedure. But in our opinion, we've seen some employees that really have been retaliated against, and we were looking for you guys to stand up for that and make sure that the people who are managing our employees don't do that.
Mr. Walters, thank you for your comments. You may not have received the email that I sent yesterday.
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, yeah, it's inviting you to contact Mr. Powell for a follow-up meeting regarding the concerns raised in your email. And I also invited you to go to lunch with me personally, so I hope that we can work that out after this meeting.
Well, hopefully Mr. Powell will have a chance to meet with the executive committee, but we have a lot of ideas that maybe we can help you out.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your concern for the city. Are there any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments? All right.
Hello, Mayor, everybody. My name is Richard Moore. I just wanted to do a follow-up on the demo on 102
Can I speak to this? I tried to get in touch with you the other day. I've contacted Louis Curry, who owns the property, and he's given me approval to have it taken down. We can use some of it in a project that we're doing, and we were talking via text the other day. I changed phones and I could not find your phone.
Okay.
I was gonna ask Chris tonight to give it to me.
Okay.
So,
And that's the barn?
yeah.
Councilman Godfrey and I went and looked at it this afternoon as well, just to see what the lay of the land was over there. So we appreciate you bringing that concern to council, and I believe that.
Yeah, and just, he was amenable to everything. I just asked, I told him I would talk to you, and there needs to be a hold harmless or something like that. Yeah, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Are you trying to wait for that before we begin demo on our rebuild?
And I'd invite you to speak with Councilman Mascara after the meeting, and we can get more details about it then.
Okay.
Do you have any other comments?
I do.
Okay, great.
Same street. So those of you who visited today can notice that our street doesn't have any curvature. The curvature, not having it, allows the water to flow. There is a drain at the top of the street around at the other corner, but it's at the top of the grading there, and all the water goes to the other side of the street. I implore you to consider putting in curbs on that street. Again, I have to attest to my mom's hard work and diligence. You know, she's wanting to build something really substantial there, and not having a curb would just kind of degrade and bring down the value of the area. Having those curbs are also safe for most of the people in that area that I'm speaking of on Forest. We're older. Not old, but older. My mom went out week before last just to get the mail, and because we don't have a curb there, she stepped in a ditch and sprained her ankle. On a good foot. So, you know, I'm taking care of her. You're by allowing us to have a curb on that street will lessen my workload. And I would really implore you to consider that the value of the house is going to bring up the value of properties in our area.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Bourne.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know when the public, you know, we've had several people come in now and talk about the need for curbing.
Yeah.
But I wanna make the public aware, it's not just as simple as going and laying that curb.
And I understand that, because you have to figure out, you gotta get
Well,
an engineer in there and figure out where the drainage would be most beneficial.
Sure, there's piping that's gotta be installed in the ground, and maybe even additional right of way we have to get to accomplish that. So, we're real excited though this year, the council, we had our goal planning a couple weekends ago. And this year will be the first year that the city's ever set out a listing, a prioritization of places where we want to address drainage issues, such as what you're expressing to us now. So hopefully we can get, and those projects are costly, and so we have to prioritize them, and they're time consuming. And so we're going to get that list up, and engineering, I've already had the engineering department directed to go out to certain places and look and see where it's needed, particularly the ones that have been specifically requested at council meetings, and then others that they're already aware of, so that the council can figure out how much money they want to dedicate each year to those type of projects. And So hopefully we'll get some relief to you, you know, soon, but it's gonna be a work in progress to get there.
For next summer?
I don't know about that.
And just lastly, if you would just email me a confirmation of like the demo information that we spoke of previous.
Okay.
Like something to give somebody, or I mean, other than just me saying that, they'll be like, yeah, right. So I'd just like something to have in writing.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to address you, and you guys keep up the great work.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make citizens' comments tonight? Any other citizens' comments tonight?
At Dublin Chevy Nissan, we're getting the St. Patty's Party started early. When you come to Dublin for our St. Patrick's Day Festival, make sure and visit Dublin Chevy Nissan. With shipments of new GMs and Nissans coming daily and a wide selection of pre-owned vehicles, don't miss the party of the year at Dublin Chevy Nissan. At Dublin Chevy Nissan, we take pride in turning our inventory. So if you see it online or on the lot, act quickly. And remember, Don sells trucks well at Dublin Chevy Nissan.
It's St. Patrick's time in Dublin, and no better time to save the green than at Lakes Alignment. Join the Leprechauns at Lakes Alignment and save on all your commercial and agricultural vehicles. No matter what you need or when you need it, our trucks are rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't let your truck cost you money by being down. Let the experts at Lakes Alignment get you rolling again. Big truck alignment, industrial tire pressing, commercial truck tires and service is only a phone call away. Elk Lake and family have been serving you at the same location behind Thomas Auto Parts since 1954. On behalf of Neil Harden and the Lake family and staff, we hope you enjoy all the festivities at the 57th Annual St. Patrick's Festival. Lakes Alignment and Commercial and Agricultural Vehicle Service. Call 272-4230 and our trucks are rolling your way. Aaron Go Bra.
All right, we will now move to comments from staff. Mr. Daniels, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Our city attorney, Julius King, any comments?
Yeah, actually, I do have just one comment from, it's regarding Ms. Rigger and the teen court program. Probably about close to 20 years ago, I was a judge for that program, and I'm dating myself. But I want to say that's one of the highlights of my career was serving as that judge, because you get to change so many lives, and you get to mentor these children, and you get to give them a second chance and give them a little structure in the meantime. So whatever you guys can do for that program, I would strongly advise it. That's it. Have a good night.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, Ms. Brown.
No comment.
All right, thank you. Mr. Powell?
Just want to thank everybody for coming and all the citizens' comments, and Mr. Rigger, looking forward to meeting with you. I'm glad, I knew I brought my computer in here for a reason. I was able to check my calendar. Just to address, we had a couple of citizens come at the last meeting, and I just wanted to express that I've been and met with two ladies that came and spoke about Eleanor Street, and had a good conversation with them about the progress the city can take on making their street look better. And so we're working towards that, and going to include them on our listing of streets that need stormwater issues addressed. That list is getting longer and longer. So, and just thank you all for coming to the meeting, and hopefully we can address everybody's concerns. These are big projects, and it does take a lot of time to get them done. And the wheels of government, if you don't know, they turn very slowly. But hopefully we can push along and get things done quickly.
All right, thank you. We'll start with comments from Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I just like to echo what's already gone before me. Thank everybody for being here, and everybody have a good weekend. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you, man. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, citizens' comments and everything that's been echoed. And I also like to say, as a city, we talk about our young folks, and I know we all talked about what we want to do with our young people, and I thank everybody when they campaign or when they talk about young people and youth and all of that. So I think it's time for us to put our money where our mouth is and not, you know, we got 2 programs that's real, it's on the map. I'm just gonna say it's on the map, they on there. And to give you a history about what's going on, 2 years ago, we were supposed to have a youth symposium right before COVID hit. And Ms. Kessel was here. And during that time, we not only had youth from the state of Georgia, youth group from the state of Georgia. It was coming from Texas, California, Mexico. And I'm missing somewhere else too, and Florida. So because of COVID that got canceled, we don't know whether we could reach out to them or not. We went to San Antonio, Texas. Our youth went to San Antonio, Texas. That's how strong of a connection they had, our youth council had. And when Kelsey went to that international convention she spoke to in Las Vegas for Teen Court, that's how strong it was that these folks wanted to come to Dublin to see what was so exciting. What y'all doing to our youth and what are y'all doing for us to, you know, talk about, cause we were talking about funding. I mean, I'm sorry, but for our budget, $100,000 or so spending on our youth, that's a drop in the bucket and it's worth it. So we need to look at that, what we're gonna do. If we're gonna talk about it, we just can't talk about it. I know it's a lot of things we wanna do, a lot of things citizens wanna do, but I believe in our youth. If we're gonna invest in our youth, we got to show that the city of Dublin, we really mean investing in our youth. And I'm all for both of these programs. It's gonna take one full-time person to run these programs, get them done right. That's what got us on the map, that's what's gonna keep us on the map. So hope that we all do that. And everybody be safe. St. Patrick coming around the corner. We got these events coming on, not just Saturday, people in the park tomorrow. Y'all be safe, have a good time, enjoy yourselves, and while you drink.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilman Godfrey.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank everybody for coming out tonight. It feels so good to sit up here and actually have people in the audience and to hear from the citizens. So I just really appreciate you all coming out. Thank you. Have a great weekend too.
Thank you. Councilman Colby.
It's been an exciting start to our month of green, and I just want to give a big shout out to Dublin High School basketball team. They played an incredible season, and I had the fun privilege of attending both Sunday and last night's game, and I'm already looking forward to season tickets for next year. Youth programs and coaches and teachers and all of those people are making a huge difference and an impact in our community. I'm looking forward to our community continuing to grow in that way. Thank you to everyone who speaks because your voice is heard and the information that you give us is taken into consideration. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you for those comments. Councilman Griggs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Tiffany and Mr. Appreciate everything that y'all do involved in the youth. Don't know what we would do without y'all, and we really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. Everybody have a great week and stay safe.
Thank you, Councilman Briggs. Councilman Smith.
I'm not gonna iterate what everyone has said already. I just want to thank everyone for coming. Look forward to coming to Teen Court this Saturday. Now we'll be on time, Mr. 9 a.m. sharp. And I also want to mention to the that second reading order that didn't pass. As a new person that's speaking for myself, it should have been postponed for clarity from the owner. I don't want my man, Mr. Scarborough, to feel like it was just on him when he's not the owner. It should have been postponed for further clarity.
Correct.
All right.
Is there any way we can, hold on a second, it's too late?
We look forward to revisiting soon. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Mascara.
I voted no, and I only voted no because we needed to get it done and move on. I encourage you to go back through this process. Most of us here ran because we saw that we were doing things that were not fair, consistent, and equitable for everyone, okay? I support black business, white business, I support business and growth. I think that as a council, we have a duty to you to look at the ordinance change for what it is, not for your responsibility or the lack of responsibility to the tenant. And I don't think we did that. That means that we did not do this fairly. And I believe that in the last couple of council meetings, we have rezoned things. And we went to the side of the person that was here requesting a rezoning. And so there's some precedent there that we've already done that in the last month or 2 months. So I encourage you to take your ability and your knowledge with George and go through this process in a collective manner with the seller of the business. There's some options here. I don't know what his responsibility is to the renter, but the lease is the lease is the lease. And that's not your obligation, nor is it his obligation. Now, there's a right thing to do in pushing a business out of their current location. It kind of sucks for the business. I've been there. George was the realtor in a property that I owned and where I own now, and I was pretty much told to buy it or get out, and I secured a first right of refusal. So what I'm trying to tell you in all of that is approach the owner of the building or have Dr. Souza do it, and you have what is legal, and then you have what is the right and ethical thing to do, and that's up to you and Dr. Souza, but that's not necessarily up to the council to tell you how to do that.
So we go through this process.
Wait, I'm sorry, we can't have comments from the public at this time. I have reserved my comments to the end, and I would like to. Okay. Yeah, I can suggest something for council, based on the comments that have been made. That as it currently stands, the motion to rezone was denied, which means that there would have to be a new application that would go through planning and zoning, and then there would have to be a first reading and a second reading. There is an alternative, which would be a motion we could have a motion to reconsider the vote. That would have to be made by a person who voted in the majority the last time. And then if that motion to reconsider passed, then someone could make a motion to postpone the decision on the second reading until a later date. And that way, it would give the applicant time to approach the business owner, and then he would not have to resubmit an application and would not have to go through planning and zoning again. So I'll just say that if a council member wants to make a motion, the motion would have to come from a council member who voted with the majority. So I will give a moment to see if anybody would like
Make
to.
a motion to
Second.
To reconsider.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
And this is, I'm sorry, just if we can be clear, it's for item number 6.
We have a motion and a second to reconsider item number 6 on the agenda. Any discussion on this motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 6 is now up for reconsideration. We can have additional questions, or we can have a motion to postpone this item to a date certain.
Postpone to the date.
All right, what would be the next available council meeting dates?
We have council meeting on St. Patrick's Day, or the next one that would be April the 7th.
So we can.
There's some consideration about March 17th, the timing of that.
I have enough council members in March 17th.
April 7th.
About potentially rescheduling that.
They cover that with class.
First meeting in April.
What's the first meeting date?
April the 3rd. 7th. It's the 7th.
Mayor, I have one statement to make. Mr. Scarborough stated that the deal could possibly be taken off of the table. And he would not be able to do that based on, didn't you say that?
Say that again, sorry.
Didn't you say that that if this doesn't pass, that the seller's already said that they're pretty much done?
John, I mean, I think this changes things. I mean, I'm not even against exploring keeping this room. I just wasn't ready for that.
I'm sorry, that one was good.
I'm sorry, if we can't really have questions at all, we need to follow the.
Well, I want to make sure that
Right. Yeah, and I appreciate that. Based on the timeline that was presented previously, we may need to schedule to set that it would be to a date certain, being the next meeting of city council, whatever date that may be.
Ms. Articulate, did we confirm a date for when you were gonna come and do a presentation with council? You had suggested March the 24th, which, is that still open for the gentleman want that at work?
And we don't have to set the time of that meeting at this point. We can just say that we can, if someone wants to make a motion, my understanding is that if it's tabled, there's procedural issues, but if we postpone it to a date certain, then we don't have to take it off the table and go through that procedural issue. So, that would be March 17th would be the next meeting. Mr. Jones, did you want us to make that motion as March 17th?
I'm not gonna make it, I'm not gonna be here March 17th. I'm not gonna make it at noon, especially make a meeting at noon, I know I'm not gonna be here, probably. I'm gonna make it at regular time, Mr. Reed's not gonna be here. I think two more council members not here.
All right. Is council amenable to having a call meeting next week?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
That's,
Thursday, or any day.
Mr. Scarborough, we're trying to accommodate you, and I think everybody, wants to see if there's a way this can be a win-win for everyone. So if you'll bear with us for a minute. March 10th.
If everybody's free, I'm free, I'm in town.
Okay. So this would be, is that the motion you'd like to make?
Yes,
for
I'd like to make a motion.
And am I right, the purpose of this is to allow the tenants to now have full knowledge that they may potentially be evicted?
Clarity from the owner.
Clarity from the owner and allow, whether or not he let the tenant know.
Okay.
Yeah, we can extend our time too when we start. We can go 90, 120, however many days they need to figure it out, or we can maybe even do better.
All right.
Figure it out together.
All right, well, what this will do is this will give you a week to talk with everybody and see if there's a way that you can get some more information. All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Jones to delay the item 6, second reading and decision on this rezoning to a called meeting for March the 10th.
I second that.
We have a second from Councilman Colby. Any discussion on the motion?
Now with that, now if he doesn't, if you're not able to do that by then,
Sir?
you think that'll give you enough time
So
to.
if not, then we'll just have to go forward to that meeting, and if we have to postpone it again, we'll have to postpone it.
Gotcha, that's all I wanted to.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 6 is going to be postponed until the March 10th meeting. We will publish the time of that meeting with the Courier Herald, and it will be delivered to Mr. Scarborough and the rest of council. Any other comments on tonight's meeting? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.